Alex, tell them what they've won.
Today, you have won the Magic of Frank Garcia. This is magic that really inspired a lot of people. The books that Frank Garcia put out, the super exclusive secrets, the red book, the green book, these were influential card books on all of us, really. But all of my heroes for sure said that these were the books that got them started, a lot of them in Magic and commercial. So Frank was known as a guy who worked for, for celebrities. He in New York City, he was the guy. And just a lot of my heroes were sort of disciples of Frank Garcia, and it's an important chain within the lineage, and important part of the chain within the lineage, in my opinion.
I would say the Frank Garcia's magic is one of the, almost by definition, commercial card magic was almost invented. We often say J.C. Wagner's name because that's what he called his book, but I'd say that the formula and the format we're starting is greatly associated with Harry Lorraine and Frank Garcia in the time even before J.C. Wagner. Agreed. So this is very exciting.
Very exciting. Yeah.
This stuff in a long time. Let's fire it up.
Yeah, let's do this. It's good. It's good.
Oh, look at that. Oh, look at this old-timey stuff.
This is great.
Watch the.
As you can see, I have a deck of cards often referred to as a Devil's Prayer book. There are 52 leaves. I'll give you a better view of the cards. They're all different, as you can see. That's so you can tell one card from the other.
Oh.
That was the Gambler's Salute. I'm going to give the deck a cut, a few more cuts. I'm going to hand you the parcel of cards, and then I want you to cut the parcel of cards into approximately 4 even parts. I don't think you can do that, huh?
Parcel.
Put your heart and soul into this and make it seem as if every picture, every move is a picture. Okay.
Put your heart and soul.
I think as we go along, I'm going to ask you one simple question. Would you say that I influenced you in the way you cut the cards?
No.
No way. The cards are totally shuffled. I'm going to use the top 4 cards. There's one, there's a second one, the third one, and the fourth one. Since I instructed you to cut the parcel of cards into 4 packets, and we're using 4 cards. Let's see how well you did. There's the Ace of Spades.
Hey, now.
There's the Ace of Diamonds. There's the Ace of Clubs. And voila, the Ace of Hearts. Pretty good, huh?
Son, I just want to ask you one question.
4 aces, often referred to as the 4 bullets. In Las Vegas and in gambling parlance, or where gamblers meet to play cards, they're referred to as the 4 bullets. Why? Because they're the most powerful cards in the deck of cards. They're number 1. You can't go any higher, nor can you go any lower. We'll take the deck, split it in half, and shuffle it intermittently so that I now have every other card shuffled, as you can see.
Bing.
I'll do this again so you can appreciate the beauty of this whole thing. Watch. Splitting the deck, and then butt shuffling the cards. See?
Did he say butt shuffling?
Since we have 26 cards here and 26 there, and the cards are facing you, there's no way that I can tell the location of any card. I'm going to riffle the cards, but you're going to have to do this fast. Tell me when to stop, and when you do that, you remember the card at that point.
Okay, stop.
Remember the card? Good. A little imagination goes a long way, plays an important part in magic. I have the 4 bullets, the Ace of Hearts, the Ace of Spades, the Ace of Diamonds, the Ace of Clubs. Which is your favorite?
Ace of Spades.
Ace of Spades. That's the big bullet. This is going to help me find your card. All I do is merely load the chamber. You're thinking of a card.
Mm-hmm.
Watch, John. I shoot, 1 card shot out, dropped out, rather weak shot. For the first time, name the card.
10 of Spades.
10 of Spades.
I wasn't sure. Oh.
What I'm going to ask you to...
Ah. How
Young
great
man, I have but one question to ask you today. Does your mother let you leave home with that haircut?
He gets pretty mean. I cut it out. He gets pretty mean with that guy because he's like, it's okay to these things. Like, he just gets on him for not being like a good spectator.
Stand up straight,
It's
son.
so great.
Wear some pants.
It's just like everything about it's great. The way he's dressed, the pinky ring. You know what I'm saying?
I almost left this
take
out.
a parcel of cards. I mean, it's just
I
so
almost left it out.
great.
I almost left it out
So
because he
great.
didn't get such a big, reveal on that card, but everything else about it was so perfect. I was like, I can't just let that bad ending ruin this clip.
It's just so awesome.
It's just awesome.
It's just awesome, you know?
I mean,
Yeah, the magic was good.
Dungarees
Yeah.
and a haircut like that. What are you from California?
So great.
The magic
I knew-
was good, but that reaction was underwhelming.
Yeah.
Well,
I
there
get
was
the
one
feeling that he's like a student, that he was like the last guy, that he was the only guy that was available on the day.
Find
when
me
they
a kid.
but I don't know.
Sit down here, kid.
I said take a parcel. That's definitely a packet, bigger than a parcel.
Yeah, it's a parcel. It's like a parcel.
So
of
this
cards.
is very exciting because you really got to hear some of this stuff. You see the way Frank Garcia, he doesn't let an opportunity miss to do the ribbon spread, to do the turnover. He doesn't to do that extra wide fan, and then he's like, let's try it again so it works.
I must
last night having that problem. Yes.
Yes, I must admit that from now on I will no longer refer to it as the Pharaoh Shuffle. It will now be known as butt shuffling, which is coined by Frank Garcia in that clip.
Very nice to see Frank Garcia shuffling left corners into left corners. Always a good idea. Always a good idea. A little harder that way. All right. This is good. Shall we watch another?
Yeah, see you the next one. You're going to love this one. This one's good.
What I'm going to ask you to do is to take that 10. That's possibly one of the most interesting cards in the deck.
Possibly one of the most.
Utilizing a pen. I want you to sign your name or inscribe it on your
Utilizing a pen.
The reason I have you do that is I
That's
think
a
it'll
flare.
be my statement. I couldn't possibly duplicate the signature.
I don't think they had Sharpies back then.
I don't think so either.
Want to make another one in the center?
Yeah, go ahead. Put your phone number. Maybe your social security number.
Utilize this pen.
Thanks for the pen, John. That's the way I got it. Now, this is your card with your signature. There's no way that I can duplicate that.
A little bit,
Can
please.
you take that card and place it back? Fine.
Mess this up. I'll punch.
Fine.
What
Good
I'm
enough.
going to do is cut the cards, not thinking what I'm doing, give it a mix, a shuffle, cut it again, to assure everyone the card is hopelessly lost. Do you know at this point where the card is?
No, I have no idea.
That's good, because neither do I. But what I intend to do is to find your card under rather strange and interesting circumstances. You'll notice that I'm shuffling the cards face to face. So that what I do is what you see. Those cards are mixed up, huh? What a mess. I'm going to take the cards and push them in flush with the deck and strip them out.
Hello.
With the deck, a series of cuts. I think you'll agree with me that these cards would have to be face up, face down, totally discombobulated. As a matter of fact, these are back to back, face to face, all.
Learn this from a young
What a
kid.
mix up. How long would it take you to unscramble these cards?
A few minutes.
And notice that some are back to back, faster than you can say. John, look,
Stand up straight, kid.
you see it?
No, I didn't.
Just happened. Every card across the board is one way, with the exception of one card which is face down, which I believe to be the 10 of spades and your signature.
You see it? Just happened.
Mm-mm-mm.
Is it? You see? Just happened.
Really good. It's a
Yeah,
Wonderful.
version
it was
of
Like that
deft.
a lot.
It was deft.
And you
Yeah.
notice he's a bit of a demo man, but the handling is very neat.
Mm-hmm.
Not hard.
No
It's
extra
not
moves.
hard.
No flourish to it, really.
And it's not hard to do, but it's hard to do so neatly.
Yeah.
Hey,
clean,
Aaron,
yeah.
in your opinion, did he really have the $1 million hands?
I think he felt like they were insured for $1 million. That's the definition. His hands were worth $1 million if he lost his hands. He had a policy that was going to give him $1 million.
When he was alive, like during his reign, did his peers consider him to be the best at the time?
His peers considered him to be, like Harry Lorraine, one of the most effective at promoting card magic. So, he always had stories about showing this to Joan Rivers or, appearing on the Today Show where I performed this. And, he was always at some large industrial show or headed off to, work on some TV show. And he had names for things in his book like TV opener, things like that. And so where the truth
TV
began
opener.
and ended is, I showed this one to the Sultan of Brunei. He was having a toothache and I was there to show some magic to him and the ladies in the harem. And But he had a toothache, so he couldn't help as much as I liked, but you'll be able to help more than he would, right? All right, stand up straight, son. Cut off a
Fix your collar.
Oh, that's good.
So what I mean, honestly, that there's always been a thing in magic, right? Because the heaviest sleight of hand experts by and large weren't even magicians, didn't even want photos taken of them. But in magic, your job is to make sure to some degree that as many people know you exist as possible. It's a show business thing. So, I think guys like Frank Garcia understood that clearly. You notice the way he talks, he's got a certain manner of talking. We've been laughing about it, but it has a few of the hallmarks of a person that perhaps didn't come by that vocabulary naturally. It feels a little bit like big words thrown in later to complete the illusion so that he could be the magician that was hanging out in these high tone places. And so created a use of words that made it sound a little artificially, I think, fancy.
He's a hustler.
I think he was a guy's guy. He was an old time fellow, and he'd gotten himself the wonderful suits and the pinky rings, and he'd realized that the difference between doing magic at what we would call the Hooters and doing magic for the president's friends is really down to the suit you wear and the gleam in your eye. So worth every penny. He does sound like Hugh Downs. Well said, Newell.
Through the process of utilizing this pen, sign your name.
Off a small parcel of cards, and goodness, did you see it? Just happened. There's a real sense that this magic doesn't require you. And in his case, that's good.
I'm really nostalgic for this kind of thing, though, too. It's like you look at it in a way that it's it seems like
when you were a kid, it was like
it was
the thing. It was right there. It was what
exactly
was,
exactly
in its best sense. Let's watch another.
Let's do it.
I like to listen to the smooth sounds.
I do.
Jazz card magic. The jazzy card magic of Frank Garcia and his wayward son, or this is like the child of the lady he's dating or something.
I'm going to take and utilize the 4 queens by placing the 2 red ones to my right, one of you, and the 2 black ones to my left, whatever the case might be. And what I want you to do is to take the card that you signed, the 10 of spades with the 2 signatures, and place it face down in between the 2 red queens or the 2 black ones, whichever you prefer. Whichever such strikes your fancy.
Whichever such strikes your fancy.
Want to change your mind?
No.
I knew you were going to do that.
Hey.
Don, this is your card with your signature. Watch. Cutting them into the deck, totally losing them. I'm going to place the deck on the table. Now watch this. I'm going to cut off about half the deck. By weighing the matter, I know that your card lies in that parcel of cards, not in this one, up there. I refer you now to the 2 queens. You'll notice that they're 2 simple ladies. Mm-hmm. Examine them. Make sure that there's no escaping gas, no
escaping gas. Those ladies are underutilized.
The 2 queens. I'm merely going to take and turn the 2 queens over and refer you to this packet. I say, card, come. Did you see me do anything?
No, I didn't.
You were impressed by the finger movement, though. Look, the reason I ask is because there's a card that's with 2 signatures, which I believe it to be your card. Strangely enough, John,
you're impressed by the finger movement.
It's in between the 2 queens. Now, if I can make it come, I can certainly make it go by reversing the procedure. Card. Oh.
Look at that pinky.
No, I didn't.
John. 1 queen, 2 queens. You may be wondering what happened to your card. Sandwiched in the center, you'll notice that there are 2 queens face up, 1 card face down. Wouldn't it prove interesting if that card were the 10 of spades with the 2 signatures? That's a miracle.
That's fantastic.
Press pause. Take the floor, Steve.
That is a fantastic trick right there. It really is.
The visitor.
And when it comes to the thing, he had to do the thing there. It was like glass.
Yeah.
Well, you do
absolutely smooth as glass.
You know how we've just gotten through saying that he's not doing really hard stuff, but he's doing it incredibly neatly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's an interesting if we want to talk about demo men at all, it's a very interesting combo because he's certainly doing things like projecting a lot of skill with his pinky and his double undercut, but that's really simple stuff. The cuts and the things, and he's doing it very perfectly. But then nestled within that is a real classical sleight of hand training where when he's actually going to do a secret move, it's instantaneous. It can be incredibly difficult or easy to do. It makes no never mind. Within this beautiful construct of a very skillful guy who's just doing beautiful, neat things, he's buried like heavy duty sleight of hand is being done in a masterful way.
Yeah.
So that he is simultaneously a demo man and just a badass with cards. I mean, it's a really.
That was, I mean, what we saw right there was badass.
And you were talking particularly about that last moment, right?
Well, right before that last moment, right?
The last steal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's so
smooth. Those breaks and then rocket.
You know, obviously, this is you only get that way from tons of practice, right?
And
for years and years. I mean, we're seeing Frank Garcia here. He strikes me as middle-aged here, right? 40.
A lot of days on the trade show floor doing.
He spent a lot of days before this, and you can see that. That's the biggest thing, I think. You know, he's just one of the guys I always looked up to.
And he says to the kid something like, "Did you like that?" And the kid gets him again and goes, "Yes, but you were impressed by the finger movements." And so there was a real sort of not only unflappability to it, but a real sort of yes and thing going on. He's throwing out his line. No matter what this kid says, he was going to find a way to make it sound like what the kid had said was yes, incredible. You know, so the kid goes, "Well, I didn't think it was pretty good, but but you saw the toe, and that's why you were so amazed." Moving forward, and he was just not flustered by anything. He had 4 more where that came from. There's nothing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very understated too. I think there's a nice thing there because he's got his, he's got his things and he's got all that stuff happening. But when it comes time to the magic, he's really just doing it. And he's letting it speak for itself. And I think it really plays,
And it's funny when you watch these clips, you would imagine that these things are much longer than they are. In my memory, I imagine these as like 5-minute presentations, but they're short, right? It's like to the point, and he's just in there and he's out, but you see a miracle. And it's great, just great stuff.
It's one of the things that's so confusing about the books, is because there's a lot of tricks like that length, and there's a lot of them seem to require like an 8 to 15 card setup. So one is always left to wonder how, if ever, he went from one to the next. One's left with the feeling that, wow, he's published 20 openers in this book. Like, there's a lot of 10 card setup tricks in this book. But in reality, he mostly probably just did Chicago opener, which of course is one of the things he, let's say, did a lot of popularizing of with his version in the Red Book.
Yeah, no doubt.
$1 million card mysteries or $1 million secrets.
$1 million secrets. That's right.
A parcel of cards.
I know. I'm going to start using that.
All right. So now
That's up my act.
Visitor. We just did the Visitor, but now we're going to go to Kings and Aces. This is another exciting theme. Ah, kid, I see you're still here.
As you can see,
you must really like magic.
I'm going to riffle the cards in an upward direction. I want you to tell me when to stop.
Okay, stop.
Right here. Fine. By virtue of the fact that you stopped me at the 7, which has nothing to do with the trick, the first face-down card I come to will be the one we'll use. This then will become your card, but I don't want you to look at it just yet. Again, give me a repeat performance. Tell me when to stop.
Okay, stop.
Right here. There's a 9. The first 3 face-down cards I come to, I will use and place directly behind your card. There's 1, there's 2, there's the 3rd one. Simple question. I want a simple answer. Would it prove interesting if these 3 cards match that one?
Yes, it would.
Yes? That would be a miracle. Now, let's see how lucky I've been. There's the King of Hearts. There's the King of Clubs. There's the King of Diamonds. Conclusively, I've shown you the King of Diamonds, King of Clubs, King of Hearts. So therefore, that card should be the what?
King of Spades.
Turn it over as I lay the 3 kings onto the table. Now that looks, I know what you're saying. You say, well, he made a mistake. Actually, it was premeditated. For example, if I could take that ace, do this, and change it into a king. You see, it's not here. So then, this king should match these kings. But watch, this is where the magic comes in. Did you see me do anything? No. I just did it. There's an ace, the ace of diamonds. There's the ace of clubs. There's the ace of hearts. And the true test is to change that last king into the...
Boom.
Isn't that marvelous?
Isn't that
That
marvelous?
there is a master.
That is just marvelous.
That there's a Frank Garcia major alpha routine.
Yep.
FYI.
It's got all those elements you were talking about before. Totally.
And everything
Marvelous.
is easy. He's not doing anything fancy. He's doing a lot of, a big turnover here, and it's all very simple, but he's squeezing every moment out of it. One of the things you get about Frank Garcia that you should be aware of is it really shows you what a formal close-up with interactive elements plays like. Because Frank Garcia, he's doing a formalized type of magic. Notice how he's got a lot of questions answered. I'm going to ask you a simple question. I want a simple answer. The answer is yes. What's the answer? Kid goes, yes. He goes, of course, the answer is yes. So that's what I'll do. And he's really taking this kid on things he's made concessions to have it feel interactive. But it's not. It's for a large group of people, and it's well structured in advance. He's going to be doing that just that way. And I think it really works, because I think sometimes we have to set our levels. We have a certain trick and we don't realize whether the trick invites a lot of poking and peeking, or maybe it doesn't. And we sometimes play it in a way which invites too much or not enough, right? So it's very important when you look at his material that you notice he doesn't break for anyone. It's not a conversation.
I bet it was very interesting to see him work for a large group of people, just to see, what he's doing, using his skill set and the way he's communicating. I bet it was just a completely different beast, because he's got his thumb on the whole thing, but at the same time, he's letting it breathe if spectators want to react, because he's looking for those reactions at every moment. I bet it's just, probably pretty fun.
And darn well that with one kind of undesirable spectator there, he's just whipping out the demos.
Yeah.
It's important to keep that in mind, folks. There's no way around the fact that in order for him to make his trick show as best as it can, he's got to play it as it must be played with the performer, with the spectators he's got in front of him, or else it doesn't play. You know what I mean? Right. One of these days, I want to ask my brother Ethan how this particular old-timey card magic plays for him. I feel like I would love to find out how a regular person who's seen a lot of magic would respond to this particular. It's a little bit like listening to music from the 60s or something, and you just sort of want to know. It's not exactly like a person that never heard the Beatles. It's more like a person who never heard the Dave Clark Five.
That's funny.
Or Gary Puckett and the Union Gap. So, which is a great one. Woman, have you got cheating on your mind? So what are we going to do next? Well, Frank Garcia's always got cheating on his mind. He just showed us cheating on his mind in the Kings and the Aces, but now he's going to deal with a little something he likes to call overkill. And at 2 minutes plus, this is an epic alpha routine.
It's a big routine, yeah.
Well, as you can see, I have a deck of cards. I'm going to give them a tiny shuffle, tiny cut, and I'm going to place the cards in front of you. What I want you to do is, as I turn my back, is to cut off a small parcel of cards, not to exceed 15. All right?
Not to include 15.
You've done that.
Not to include 15?
Less than 15. Less than 15.
Table, and do it in silent fashion, so you don't give me any clue as to how many cards you cut to. But please remember the number. Have you done that? Okay. Take those cards and place them beneath the mat in the far corner, underneath. Have you done that? Yes? Good. Now, if I turn around and I look here, I couldn't possibly know how many cards you cut to. No, what I'm going to do is deal out the number of cards across the board, like so.
Oh, that's a great trick.
It's a good trick.
It's a fooler.
Okay, let's assume, because I don't know, no conjecture on my part, let's assume you cut 12 cards. Starting from this end, count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and you would remember the 10 of spades.
Mm-hmm.
If you cut 9 cards, the same thing would apply. Have you done that?
Mm-hmm.
You have a card implanted in your mind. I have no way of knowing. Is that true?
No.
Okay. As you're thinking, and as you're gazing into my eyes, I get the impression I see a courtyard, I see royalty, I see a king. Would the card that you're thinking of be the King of Hearts?
Yes, it would.
Yes?
Yeah, it is.
Now, curiously enough, prior to the performance, I took the liberty of placing a prediction inside this box, which is on the tab. Open it up and read it out loud.
You will think of the King of Hearts.
You will think of the King of Hearts. And if that's not enough, curiously enough, you'll notice that we've been using a red deck throughout.
Mm-hmm.
As I spread these red cards out, one strikes out more so than the others. It has a blue back. Wouldn't it prove interesting if it too were the King of Hearts? And the most curious coincidence, if that's not enough, look, the parcel of cards that you placed beneath the mat, if I held those over the King of Hearts, that bottom card would also be the King of Hearts.
Killer, killer, killer.
This is
Pretty a quick
Fixed.
story, you know. There was a period of about 10 years where I was a constant invitee of Alfred P. Sloan at General Motors to perform magic for him, and his house is on West Hampton and East Hampton and other parts of Long Island in New York. And one day he said to me, you know, we have a very important party coming up. We'd love to have you perform. It's the 30th time you've come to perform for our family for so many times. Please, this time we want overkill. So now, tonight, overkill in honor of Mr. Alfred P. Sloan, CEO of General Motors, and beloved to everyone here in the family.
I request.
Cut off a parcel of cards.
cut off a parcel of cards.
So was he worth it? Every penny.
All 30 times.
That's clearly the point. He was worth every penny. And don't you forget it. I, for one, think, I mean, he called it overkill.
Yeah.
Again,
Now,
another opener.
I think that's a Paul Harris trick, isn't it?
Paul Harris's trick. That's correct.
Yeah, that's Paul Harris's.
Your
He does
bet.
it a little different.
He did the Secrets of the Puerto Rican Gambler in there. They used to joke
Uncredited.
around and
I
everything.
wasn't going to bring it up, but uncredited. It was a little bit of a bummer.
The FT cut is in those books, and that's when Frank Thompson stopped speaking to Frank Garcia, is when he put the FT cut in those books, for sure. No, Frank didn't ask permission. The problem is Frank Garcia knew what good material looked like. He loved to perform it. He loved to make it his own. He had the skills required to do anything he wanted with any of it. And then he put it all in those books, and he did not care. So he was such a good sleight of hand artist. He had access to all this underground material. He really did. Really good with cards, and so people showed him stuff, and then he just did whatever he wanted to with it.